Hello students, this is Mr. Damiani and we are going to be looking at lesson 2.3 in our Go Math workbook. This is on page 81. The topic for today's lesson is multiplying fractions. The central question which you should be answering in your summary is how do you multiply fractions? And we got some review on this in the Show What You Know for chapter 2, but we definitely need to perfect our skills, so to speak. So let's take a look at the unlock the problem here. Sasha still has 4/5 of a scarf left to knit. If she finishes 1/2 of the remaining part of the scarf today, how much of the scarf will Sasha knit today? Going back looking at the problem, what is this important information that we want to kind of focus in on? 4/5 of the scarf left to knit. We are looking at if she finishes 1/2 of the remaining part. What is that total? So we are technically looking for half of 4/5. And anytime you have a fraction of, you're going to want to remember to multiply. All right, so multiply 1/2 times 4/5, write the product in simplest form. We are going to multiply the numerators, and then we're going to multiply the denominators. So 1 times 4 gives me 4. 2 times 5 gives me 10. I have a fraction of 4/10. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to simplify that fraction using the greatest common factor to get it down to simplest form. All right. So we need a common factor that can come out of 4 and 10, and we're going to take a 2 out. So the GCF of 4 and 10 is 2. So I'm going to start with my 4/10 here. I'm going to divide out of the top and bottom a 2. If I divide 4 by 2, I get 2. If I divide 10 by 2, I get 5. All right, so we're going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 2, like I said, and we are going to get a simplified version of 2/5. So we're going 1/2 times 4/5 is equivalent to 2/5. And what does that all mean? Well, Sasha will knit 2/5 of the scarf today. Make sure you got that information filled in. So we're definitely going to multiply our tops with our tops and our bottoms with our bottoms, and then check to reduce. Scroll on down here. All right, so example 1 now, you're going to notice that we have some mixed numbers. So we're going to attack this a certain way, and I'll give you some of those reminders there. So we are looking at multiplying 1 1/4 by 1 2/3. Write the product in simplest form. All right, we can start by estimating, and in this case, 1 1/4, that's going to be closest to 1. 1 2/3 is going to be closer to 2. So our product at the end should be close to a whole number 2 as our estimate. All right, now we have 1 1/4 times 1 2/3. Whenever we multiply, we always want to have a top and a bottom multiplied by a top and a bottom, or just a numerator and a denominator to multiply. We don't want to have whole numbers involved. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to change those whole numbers into, those mixed numbers into improper fractions. So there's 2 good key terms for you. We're going to go mixed number to improper fraction by doing time to add. So let's take a look at this 1 1/4, for example. That 1 1/4 is equivalent to 1 times 4 plus that 1, which gives me a 5 over 4. And you'll notice that that's left in right here for you. Now the 1 2/3, okay, that 1 2/3, we're going to apply that time to add concept here. Multiply your denominator with your whole number, gives us a 3. Add that numerator, which is a 5. That's going to give me 5 over 3. And that's the one I'm going to want to use down here. So instead of multiplying 1 1/4 by 1 2/3, we're going to take it and change it into 5/4 times 5/3. All right, the improper version, we do time to add to get it into that form. Now we're going to multiply our numerators. So 5 times 5 gives me a 25. And 4 times 3 gives me a 12. And you'll notice here that we have our improper fraction. And if it's improper at the end, we want to change it into a mixed number, which would be considered the proper form. This is where we dump and divide, and we do what we did the other day when we reviewed this skill. So if we take 12, looking to finalize my answer here, if we're going to take 12 and divide it into 25, 12 goes into 25 two times. I'm subtracting here to get a 1. So what I have here is 2 whole on the top, 1 as my remainder, and my denominator of 12 does not change. I get an answer of 2 and 1/12. All right, now that's again changing from improper fraction to mixed numbers. All right, bringing in another review skill. Since the estimate, I'm right here now, folks. Since the estimate is 2, the answer would be considered reasonable. 2 and a 12th is close to 2. So 1 and 1/4 times 1 and 2/3 is equivalent to 25 over 12. In its most proper and simplified form, as a mixed number, it's 2 and 1/12. All right, so biggest keys here, making sure that you have a top and a bottom multiplied by a top and a bottom, which means you have to change those mixed numbers into improper fractions. A great piece of information for you to include in your summary. Let's go ahead and turn the page, please. We are now looking at, we're going to jump up to page 83 here. And on page 83, which would have the share and show, we're going to go through a couple examples together and wrap it up. So, directions say, find the product, write in simplest form. So we're going to focus our attention on question 2. So when I'm looking at question 2 here, we're just multiplying our tops with our tops and our bottoms with our bottoms. 3 times 8 gives me a 24, and 8 times 9 gives me a 72. I now have 24 and 72. Okay, I can reduce this. All right. The next lesson we're going to show about how to divide factors out before you multiply. All right, which I'll show some of you in class tomorrow as well. So let's look at that 24 over 72. We're going to reduce that. Let's try to get it in the ladder here, just so we can work with that process of reducing as well. And I look at 24 and 72. Got to pull a factor out. Let's pull an 8 out. So I'm going to divide out an 8. 8 goes into 24 3 times. 8 goes into 72 9 times. I now look at that 3 and the 9 and I say, okay, I can divide a 3 out. They have a common factor. So I'm going to take that 3 out. That leaves me with 3 into 3 1 time, 3 into 9 3 times. I look at the 1 and the 3 on the bottom. I cannot go any further. And zoop, there is your reduced fraction. 1/3. Right, great stuff. Let's look at number 3. Problem says, Sam and his friends ate 3 3/4 bags of fruit snacks. If each bag contained 2.5 ounces, how many ounces of fruit snacks did Sam and his friends eat? All right, so we know each bag has 2.5. We know they ate this many bags, and we want a total at the end. So in combination with an each keyword and a total, we know where you're going to apply multiplication. So let's set this up. The order in which we multiply does not matter. So we're all going to start with 3 3/4 times 2 and 1/2. What I'd like you to do right now is go ahead and pause the video and try to change those mixed numbers into improper fractions for me. Don't finish the problem, just make the improper fraction change. Okay, go ahead and pause it up. All right, thanks for taking the time to pause the video here. Let's get back to work. If you did the time to add here, hopefully you changed this. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 3. Hopefully you got your 15 over 4 times. That's a 4 plus 1, 5 over 2. Hopefully you got that all set up. All right, so now we're going to multiply our tops with our tops and our bottoms with our bottoms. 15 times 5, if you got to work it out on the side, there's no harm in that. That's going to give us a 75 over 8. And we say, okay, well, we've got an improper fraction here. We're going to dump and divide to finalize our answer. And 8 goes into 75 9 times. That's 72, remember. Difference of 3. So 75 minus 72 gives me 3. So that would be 9 3/8. If you're unsure on how Mr. Damiani got that, take a peek up here. Okay, 8 went in there 9 times, got me 72. I subtract and got a 3. So 9 3/8. All right, let's go ahead and put our eyes down here on question 4. You're going to notice there's a little bit of a difference with question 4. So here there's going to be some order of operations that have to apply. We're going to add, then multiply. So let's take 3/4. Subtract then multiply. Minus 1/2. Got to find some common denominators. My students that I have in RTI, we did some of this review, so hopefully we're, we remember this a little bit. Okay, so we need a common denominator, which will be a 4. And we're looking at 4 times 1, 3 times 1. 3/4 is going to stay the same, but I need an equivalent fraction for a half, so that's times 2, and I get 2/4 as my equivalent. I go ahead and subtract, and I get 1/4. So now I have to take that 1/4, multiply it by 3/5. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 5 is 20. I am reduced, and I am done. All right, so that's one of the sub-skills that we are working on within this video lesson. The big ideas in your summary should be completely focused on how to multiply fractions. So when you write your summary, folks, be sure to show me, all right, be sure to show us, Ms. Dubé and myself, how to multiply and how to handle mixed numbers. Answer those questions in your summary and you're going to be earning your 5 points. So thanks for taking the time to watch the video. I hope you can form some great questions and come ready to work. Have a great evening. Goodbye.